Hello, welcome to Talking Pictures, your podcast of choice you listen to every week, where me, myself and I, Brian, will be your host for this episode. I'm joined by my co-host and good friend David. Hi David.
Hi Brian, how are you today?
Yeah, trying to try something new on the spot. But
it's been a minute. We the last couple episodes we've been recording over.
Let's just say we've not been in the same room.
Yeah, no, we've been separated, but now we're back.
Back in action. Back in action. Yeah, fortunately.
We're here to talk about
BB.
Blue Beetle, a movie. It didn't come out. Well, it came out about a month ago.
Within the last third of mid-August, we'll call it mid-August. We saw this movie separately. I saw it in a different country than Ireland. I was in Vienna when I saw this movie. The movie started off playing in German. Thank God the staff was monitoring the room because it was supposed to be in English, and they stopped the movie and just say, "Sorry guys, we'll get this fixed. It was supposed to be in English, obviously," and then replayed it, and then it started playing in English. And great, it was nice to see that essential staff power in a cinema. Yeah, I could learn a thing or two here, guys. I went to see this movie. Like, I didn't have it on my watch list. I didn't think the trailers was any good. I thought it was just very bland and generic. And oh Jesus, why should I see this? Like, it's not anything new. I feel like I'm gonna get more stupider if I watch it. But you know, like I doing my traveling, and I've got an afternoon free. I'd rather eat a cheap box of popcorn instead of paying for a meal that would be like 20 quid. And I did just that. Except I had a real good time watching this movie. This movie, Blue Beetle, it's not great, but I enjoyed it. I think it's quite entertaining. And, well, it's existing in an era where its universe is shifting from the old DC to James Gunn's DC, and to this day it can still literally be an either or. James Gunn can either take Blue Beetle for instance and bring him into his universe and place him wherever he wants, wherever he sees it fit, or he can just scrap it and just, I didn't direct that, it's not Peacemaker, it's not Suicide Squad, I didn't direct or produce it, and hey, it's flopping. So I'm not gonna, bring it on. So this could just be like no different than any other movie. It's just a shame that it was greenlit and released between two operators of Warner Brothers.
Yeah, it's an interesting position to be in, isn't it? Like this movie, because at the end of the day, a movie should just be able to exist on its own.
Oh, not these days.
For hundreds of years, movies have been able to just exist, and it comes out and it's either good or it's bad, and maybe it gets a sequel. But nowadays, with all these cinematic universes and everything being connected, it's a unique problem to have where the current plans for the universe that you were supposed to exist in is gone, and now there's a new universe that is taking place, but it hasn't started yet, and you kind of fall in between the two, and you're not, like, audiences aren't sure exactly where it's supposed to land between the two universes, and it's just a very unique problem to have, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it stands in the same position as Aquaman, Shazam and The Flash in that we know these movies are not going to continue in the next years to come. When Superman Legacy comes out. So why should we be watching this? Well, they're good movies. Are they? No, they're not. Not all of them. Shazam was shit. The Flash was not well received. This is not getting the buzz I think it deserves, but it's not skyscraping any ceilings. But and the word on the street is that Aquaman, it's not about, how good is this sequel to $1 billion movie going to be? It's how much do you think it will barely make?
Yeah.
So
it's also, I think, Blue Beetle, just before we get too far away from it, it's also in another interesting position where it's falling right in the writers and actors strike. So
yeah.
None of the actors can do press. They can't do red carpets. They can't do interviews. They can't do talk shows. They can't do anything. And I think that maybe that's a main source as to why the film isn't doing all that great. I think that its promotion, generally, the marketing and the promotion has let the film down.
Yeah.
Now, regardless of what I think of the movie, I think as we go into the actual thought, like we talk about the movie, you enjoyed it a lot more than I did. But I think that what it loses, it's not fair that it lost that, if that makes sense. I think that it's a shame that it has fallen within both of these two situations of being within the writer's strike and being within the shift of universes, which, you know, Warner Brothers and Marvel and Star Wars has all trained audiences to know of, like, oh, this movie will be connected to other things. And it does that within the movie. It has small references. They reference, I think, Superman. They reference Batman. But it's like, okay, but what Batman are you referencing? What Superman are you referencing? Are you referencing Henry Cavill? Or are you referencing now...
David Cornsweet.
But...
I think
it's Sweet. I think it's David Cornsweet, is it? Or Cornsweet?
I don't know what... David Corns.
The new Superman. But it's like, okay, but then is Superman Legacy going to be an origin story? We don't know exactly where any of this falls in. So it's in a unique position in both that term and the fact that it can't be marketed and the marketing isn't there for it. Whereas with something like Aquaman that's coming out, Aquaman, the first one, don't forget, it made $1 billion. It's the highest grossing movie in the DCU. And as of recording on the 10th of September 2023, it's currently marketed for a December 25th, Christmas Day release. We have no trailers. We have no teasers. We have no promotional images. I think we have one image, a couple of behind the scenes, like in featurettes where they've had it. But there's nothing for us to be excited about. So it's this whole universe and this whole marketing strategy is letting down the movies. And I think that in just kind of going off topic here, like a lot of movies, the marketing makes the movie. Like with Barbie, I feel like Barbie was marketed to bits. I feel like everyone knew Barbie was coming out, and then it was also a good movie, and then it made $1 billion. It's the highest grossing Warner Brothers film. Yeah. Whereas this one, it didn't get any marketing. It felt like it was just, you got one trailer,
two very generic, similar looking trailers.
Yeah, if they both look the same.
Yeah, uninteresting. It wasn't on my watch list, and I thought, oh, I'm not gonna go see this. But then when it came out, like, you know, following up, I would, you know, investigate some reviews and ratings to see, okay, if this movie's worth it. And it was, and I wasn't doing anything else. I said, I enjoy going to cinemas that I'm not used to, whether it's in the west of Ireland or in another country in Europe or on another planet. Just I like going to see what other cinemas are like.
Yeah.
And just to top up on it not doing financially well, none of the DC movies have been doing financially well. None of them. They've all been flopping to shame. They're an embarrassment. They're a joke. It's a laughing stock now. And I really don't I couldn't really understand why that is. Whether they're just not good movies, or they're not something new anymore. Like, we're sick of them. Like, if I'm fatigued, because I did say I was fatigued with Shazam and also Ant-Man earlier this year. But I thought, is that enough? Is it enough that the DC is going to be rebooted, so we don't care, therefore they're not making money? Or is it the marketing is not being done well? Because I agree that the marketing is the key to getting better access to money, you know, for box office. But I don't identify as one of those people who, you know, the general going audience to go see a movie based on a trailer. I feel like me and you, when we would go see a movie based on wanting to see it if we think it looks good. We don't need a trailer to tell us that.
We actively avoid trailers sometimes.
Yes. So, for example, were you always going to see Blue Beetle?
I think so. I think it was it was one that I wasn't like too pushed on. If we weren't going to do an episode on it, I wouldn't have.
But the fact that it's also a DC Universe movie, that's another thing.
Like we're saying there, we've been trained now to know that these movies are all connected.
But it's also a Star Wars movie. You're going to see a Star Wars movie. You don't need to watch the trailers. You're going to watch it. Or, oh, look, a new movie, talking in hindsight, but let's say beforehand, the Oppenheimer movie, because it's Christopher Nolan. And maybe I'm just giving you too obvious of examples. But I feel like I don't need a marketing to tell me whether I should see this movie. I can watch a movie I'm anticipating and the trailer could just be poor, uninteresting, didn't do it for me, didn't get me goosebumps, didn't get me going. But I'll still go see it if I think I'll like it, or if I think it looks good, or if I've already decided to go watch it. I'm already arguing with people in the comments on YouTube saying, yeah, Borderlands next year might be shit. I'm still going to go watch it. And that's, so
because of the cast and
cast, the type of movie it was. Like, so that's what I'm saying. That I don't need a marketing to get me hooked. I decide myself if I'm gonna get hooked. I was reserved earlier this year on my cinema going because I didn't want to overdo it. Then I realized life is short, so I said my piece on that. I guess people just need professionals to get a piece of marketing to trick them into spending no money because they're not spending no money on this.
Yeah, and like you were saying there with superhero fatigue, I think that if you look at all the superhero movies that came out this year, so Ant-Man and the Wasp,
Bad.
Shazam,
Bad.
Guardians of the Galaxy,
That's James Gunn. That's completely different and needn't bother even being Marvel.
Into the Spider-Verse.
That was good, but that was Sony, and it's not Sony that does the deal with Marvel. It's Into the Spider-Verse Sony, so that would be in a league of its own.
The Flash.
DC flopped. I enjoyed it. It's not the best. It's not the worst, but it's it like Blue Beetle arrived way too late.
And then Blue Beetle.
So,
yeah, and I think that the like you said there, the main outliers, the odds from the group is Spider-Man and Guardians, and the fatigue seems to happen with all of the other movies because they weren't. I don't want to say they're not good, but they're not as like heartfelt, and you felt like you're not maybe the creative behind it or the team behind it weren't giving it their all.
Yeah.
I know we're straying away from Blue Beetle here. We'll jump into it in a minute, but like I think it's fair to say like that consumers and people that are watching movies, they want good stories, whether it be superhero or not. Because I think you can easily say like, oh, there's superhero fatigue, but there's at least 2 this year that were good, and in many other years 2 superhero movies that are good is enough. But when this year we've had, what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the Marvels to come 7, and
not overly looking forward to that.
And then Aquaman. That's 8 superhero movies in 1 year. You know, that's almost 1 a month of like major branded superhero movies.
Yeah,
major IPs. So I think that it's fair to say that there's superhero fatigue, but there wouldn't be if they are
more thoughtfully carried out.
Exactly.
Well, that's why I like what James Gunn said in speaking to Michael Rosenbaum, was it? When that interview. He said, I don't think there's movie fatigue. I think there's a fatigue on bad movies. Maybe he didn't say that in so many words, but he did acknowledge literally what you just said, David, that we want good stories. Give us something new. And that's what he seems focused on. And I remember me and you talked about the future of DC when we were talking about Shazam earlier in the year. And I said, that's what I want from these movies. I literally pointed out specific key details that if you do this in this movie, you're literally doing what I think you should be doing, because we are how many years of superhero movies and they're just all the same.
There needs to be
get chopping heads off now. Get killing. I want to see some heads rolling, and I don't want to see the actor return for the role. That's literally what I want.
There needs to be innovation or a complete shift in the genre, and I don't think there will be a shift in the genre.
No, the shift only comes when you get yourself a Joker or yeah, pretty much. Like even Matt Reeves, he has his own style now in what you did with the Batman, and that's there was no really previous template before that. He was just a great choice to get his chance to, his version on a Batman movie. Anyone can do a Batman movie. It's like anyone can do an assassination or a hitman movie. Now, so why do we need to watch one that's coming out this year with Michael Fassbender? Well, because this is David Fincher's version of a hitman. So, author, key, passion. That's all we need.
Yeah.
So we got into the movie.
Yeah, I think that for the 4 DC movies that are coming out, which is Shazam, The Flash, Blue Beetle, and Aquaman that hasn't released yet, I would confidently say that this is the best of those 4 movies. But that being said, I still didn't really enjoy myself all that much.
Okay.
I have very little hope for Aquaman, just based on the fact that it's gone through so many reshoots and it's the mid-September and we haven't received any kind of trailer for it, and it just feels like they have no faith in it, so why should I have any excitement for it?
Yeah, that's always a funny thing, isn't it? And it really is. It's always a funny thing of but I don't know, it's up to you to spend your money, and I was happy when I spent my money on this. I'm gonna give this to the grill. This movie is as generic as they come. It doesn't really offer anything up to the superhero genre. Sure, it stars a Latino lead, but it's still the same as any other movie. And talk about Susan Sarandon, who's a great actress, playing the embodiment of a mustache twirling, bowler hat wearing person sitting in the dark room in a wheelie chair, spinning around, petting a white cat.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit. Susan Sarandon is such a good actress. She plays into the literal definition of a cartoon villain that like,
yeah, I know what you mean.
Like, she does it so well, it's as cheesy as shit.
Yeah, she's not going to fall into the in the next movie she'll be an ally, she'll be the good guy. She's just the bad guy, and she's happy playing the bad guy.
She's a racist as well, I think. Yeah. She's an imperialist. She's a dick, and it's bad writing, but I don't know if she just gave it in her all, or I'm just clouded with what I did like in this movie, which was the family. Literally the family. The uncle from George Lopez, who I don't know who George Lopez is, but I know he's a comedian. And the father, whose death actually got me. Got me thinking, I kind of feel a bit sad for everyone here. And the grandmother, who only spoke Spanish and didn't come across as, in my opinion, as what the, you for real? Like holding futuristic miniguns and establishing, she's a revolutionist. Playing her up as like the little old naive lady doesn't know what's going on around her, but when actually she steps up to be a de facto leader when the family needed it. The best part in this movie, I think, in my opinion, was the villain. Carapax Raxus, longest name ever. Yeah,
he played the other.
He played the male villain. Raul Trolia. I butchered his name, but I know him from Mayans, and I really like the actor because I like his character in Mayans. And this explains why he was barely in the latest season of Mayans, because he was probably playing in this movie.
I think I read somewhere he turned down a role in Wakanda Forever to be in this movie.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what role it was.
Probably just a throwaway role.
But yeah, I suppose this is
a better role. He was literally, he was the better villain in this movie. He was probably the best or second best character because of his backstory. Even though the backstory was, I suppose, put to bed with a couple of quick edited, color graded shots of his flashback, which, in my opinion, is cheaply done. But oh well. And getting the typical upgrade of the suit, like and the shoulder blades that are like 50 kilometers too long.
it kind of would remind you, like, within that final fight of the final fight in Iron Man, the original one.
Yeah,
of having
pretty
Blue
much.
Beetle's Iron Man versus Obadiah Stane and the what's it, Ironmonger, I think his name. Like, it's just like a bigger, badder version of.
It's just literally the same thing as any other. It's like the superhero's nemesis has almost the same tech or super abilities as him, maybe just in a different color.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I'm actually. I thought I was so excited when I saw the movie because of maybe how much I enjoyed the family element of it. Maybe because it can still be placed into an either or of whichever universe. Because even though it acknowledges Batman and Superman, it doesn't show any faces.
Mm-hmm.
I think they might have done that purposely to see, hey, we can continue if you want. This movie was conceived as a trilogy. They wanted to do a 2 and they wanted to do a 3. Did you see the post credit scene?
Yeah, I did actually.
Yeah, the post credit scene. So
I say for both, and the one at the very end, I was standing at the edge. I didn't stay in my seat. I stood at the edge, and there was the 2 people in the cinema that were cleaning up.
Yeah,
they were waiting for everyone to leave. Yeah, and I turned to them when the last thing said, and I went, I don't know why I wait for these anymore. I'm never doing it again, and walked out, because it's actually such a waste of time. Like, when if just the I think the mid-credit scene is fine. Yeah. That's enough. Yeah. I don't need to sit all the way to the end of the credits, because realistically, when was the last time an end-to-end credit scene was anything other than a ha? This one was I think it was the ad that was playing on a TV somewhere. I was like, what was the point in this? I actually wasted 5 minutes of my life.
I think the last one that was, I don't know, effective, maybe Far From Home, when the Fury and Hill were actually Skrulls in the movie. And Fury was in space.
Yeah, maybe. But that was
2019.
Yeah, 4 years ago. So now, fair enough, we haven't gotten very many since then.
But that's not the point.
No, that's not the point.
But the first post-credit scene, the mid-credit scene, actually, I should say, we are in the lab of the original Blue Beetle, Ted Kord. So Ted Kord in the comics is the original, or I think the second original Blue Beetle.
I think he's the second original, but I don't think
he's the most popular Blue Beetle. Yeah, I don't believe he's any superpowers. No. He's almost like what an Iron Man is. Maybe not as gadgety or techy, but he's no Scarab, so he's no like nanobots, Green Lantern-esque superpowers.
That I think originates with Jaime.
Yes, and Jaime's not the Blue Beetle that would be going off in adventures with Booster Gold. That is Ted Kord. Yeah. So Ted Kord is presumed dead because his sister was the villain, Susan Sarandon, in this movie. So Ted Kord is believed to be dead. His daughter is Jaime's love interest. Yada yada. Who cares? So Ted Kord leaves a message. A cryptic message. You couldn't really hear it. If they've turned down the music of the movie at the scene, maybe we could, but no, because the music has to rise up a bit more. Can you hear me? Because you can't hear it. I'm alive. You hear me? Tell my daughter I am alive. Dun dun dun. It's like, you want to do more sequels? Nah, don't think so. Who do you think they're planning to play Ted Kord anyway?
I genuinely don't know. It wasn't even something that when they revealed he was alive, I cared about. I was like, oh, okay, her dad is alive. If they had put a bit more of an emphasis on the fact that he was the Blue Beetle, the old Blue Beetle, like if they had seen any kind of clips of him, whatever, but it's just like, he might as well have just been a guy with a. Well, I suppose he gave I was gonna say he could have been a guy just with a supercomputer. But he did. I suppose the family did get the weapons and all, which I want to talk about later. But
I think because Susan Sarandon were her age, why not throw another actor who was of age in the same range? So if they were to do a Blue Beetle 2, Ted Kord would return and be like a mentor to Jaime Reyes. I think that would be interesting. A white mentor to a Latino student. I think that would be nice and interesting culturally. Diversity. I thought of the name of the actor. I thought of the actor who I thought would be the this actor's this he's Ted Cord. I don't know why I thought of him. I just thought of him, and like he's not a huge name. I just him. Bill Pullman
Bill Pullman.
from Independence Day.
Oh, Bill Pullman.
The president.
Yeah. To be honest, I haven't thought about it, and I don't care. So yeah, sure, why not? You know,
I just thought Bill Pullman. Yeah, he's like in his mid-60s. And I did look this up, like, and no one no one had a name or anything. When this is on maybe I don't know, the mid-August. And the director did put it out later, because I just read this as I was driving on my way here. Oh, Jason Sudeikis.
Jason Sudeikis. I do like Jason Sudeikis
As Ted Cord. He's almost 50, but that's like an almost 30-year age gap between Susan Sarandon and who cares? It's not gonna happen. Let's move on to some flashbacks.
Yeah,
Laura, you want to play that music? You own it, Laura.
So we got some flashbacks for Blue Beetle. It's funny that we started flashbacks with the Flash, and now this is the next. Should we rename them Blue Beetle facts?
No,
we'll keep them as
let's keep them
flashbacks.
as flashbacks. I've only one flashbacks for you.
I also only have one flashback. It's almost like we said, let's just do one each.
Oh, yeah?
What have you got?
We're lazy. Well, I've got a flashback about a particular casting for this movie. So, flashback number 1 of Brian. Two of David.
Yeah.
Susan Sarandon was not the original actress to play the villain of this movie. The villain is also original, not in the comics.
Okay.
Cord, obviously, of course, the name Cord is, but the character herself is not from the comics. Sharon Stone was originally cast to play the villain.
Interesting.
So I guess I don't know, she might have read the script and thought, yeah. Okay.
He said, no, thank you.
No, I've already been in one of those.
Yeah.
Not again. And
I actually watched Total Recall last night, and Sharon Stone is in that. Man,
Yeah.
she's great.
Yeah.
She's brilliant. Have you seen Total Recall, the original?
The original?
With Arnold Schwarzenegger?
No, I thought you were talking about the Colin Farrell one.
No. She's in the
Original.
The original.
Okay,
Arnold Schwarzenegger
okay.
one. I'd recommend that.
Okay,
Have you seen the Colin Farrell one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't watch that one. Watch the original one.
Right.
The original one is like proper like 80s cheese.
Okay.
But she's great.
Well, that's good to know. It's interesting. I think I was let down that I wanted to see Sharon Stone in this, and you got Susan Sarandon. Okay, I like Susan Sarandon, and then I watched the movie, and the rest is history. Yeah. you know, twirl your mustache and all that crack.
I've got a flashback. This is flashback number 2. Did you know that Blue Beetle was originally supposed to be a HBO Max original?
I did know that.
Yeah, he was supposed to go straight onto streaming. Which, I mean, like, obviously when they had the shift of leadership, they changed it to a theatrical release.
Yeah, it's not the only one that got a shift change from HBO exclusive to...
I think Evil Dead Rise
Yeah.
was shifted as well.
Yeah.
Anything else top of your head?
Not off the top of my head, but it's just nice to see that, this is Warner Brothers having faith in their movie. Not making any money, but that's for different reasons.
So it's interesting when you look at they originally had intended for it to be a HBO Max original. And
Yeah, that means no theaters, no cinemas.
No, just on streaming. And then if you look at Batgirl, which was supposed to be a HBO Max original, and it got completely shelved.
Yeah.
You're never going to see it.
Yeah.
So I wonder, that makes me want to see that movie more.
No.
But I just wonder what about this movie made them think, yeah, let's switch that to theater.
I guess they just looked at it and maybe saw what I saw. The heart of the family.
Maybe.
Because I thought that was the best thing about it. I got on board with that. And then, one of the final action scenes, like, playing Kickstart My Heart from Motley Crue, it's nice to, I guess, like that song. And then that just went to being great to, I love the song because I saw Motley Crue play it live. And now I've listened to it in the movie and like, yeah, great. I love this scene already. just because of the choice of the song you're playing. I literally snapped my fingers and said yes a little bit out loud in the cinema because the title Kickstart My Heart was on the name of the cassette tape that he played while killing people, literally killing humans. I liked it. It's good. Yeah, it's good. Oh, one last thing I'd like to say, I really like the suit. I thought Blue Beetle's suit in this movie was a nice combination of in terms of style and look of Iron Man and Deadpool.
Well, I'll tell you what, right?
Yeah.
Let's get out of the flashback section. Let's let Laura go home, right? She do that, and then we'll talk about the suit.
Oh, I thought we were... I didn't know we were still in the flashback section.
Oh, sorry. Laura, play the jingle.
Get us out of here.
Thanks, Laura. Okay, you can go. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Laura, next time maybe just say... Just wave in the corner.
Yeah, just play the jingle. If we start talking about something else, just play the jingle. Okay.
What do you pay you for?
So the suit, yeah. No, I agree with you that the suit looked good. I think that
I like that you can see his eyes moving and his jaw moving when he speaks. Like that scene where he splits the bus in half and he's able to, put the tips of his fingers over his mouth. Like, oh my god, what is happening here? There's a lot of emotion in his face just from that. I don't know if that's digital or if it's just spandex covering from his nose to his chin. I like it. I really like the movement of that. And that it's an actual suit. It's not a CGI thing.
Yeah.
Like Pax is Carax's longest name ever. The villain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His behemoth that he was wearing that he
Yeah.
probably could not have moved in.
You literally can't walk through a door walking forward. You have to turn sideways.
Comedically walk sideways through.
You have to walk like a penguin.
I will say for the movie, I do have to commend it for its CGI.
Yeah,
I think that the CGI in it, like it was, and this is a complaint I would have with maybe a lot of other movies.
The Flash.
Is that everything that I was on the screen I could see.
Yeah.
And I just really appreciated that. I know that's such a small thing, but it's just I felt
I agree. I commend that. I commend it.
It's visually what you were showing me, I could see, and I could make out what I was seeing and what it was relative to and where people were supposed to be in relation to the action.
Yeah.
I think that the city that they were in was interesting, and it was like a kind of futuristic, like minimal CG, but like
the
like
center's futuristic.
yeah. But then where they're from is very much the slums, which they kind of show themselves like with the gentrification and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I thought that was good. I did like the family. I thought that it was kind of cool. I think that the within the Latino community, family is a big part of their life.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of way to put it, but like
it's
a big part of who they are.
Family is everything.
Yeah.
Pretty much a lot of ethnicities except Irish.
And the and I liked the way that they were all they all had their own individual personalities, and they not only bounced off each other, but like they were at odds with each other as well. Like that the uncle was very anti-government, and
the type of guy who wouldn't go on Facebook because he'd be tracked.
He's your conspiracy theory, anti-vax, anti-mask kind of guy, and he's saying Batman's a fascist and all this stuff.
Probably one of the best lines. just thrown in there, like it's while he's working, while he's trying to repair some tech, it just cuts to him. Batman's a fascist. Like just cool, nice.
Yeah.
Even his over the top humor was stupid, but it was good because it was like when Jaime took his Jeep, and he has a faint heart attack with his eyes still wide open. That was done in like a wide shot with the family sort of blocking and acting and performing. It really does go to show how much where you place a camera to film a shot helps you.
Now the negative right? I didn't want to have to talk the negative.
Oh, go on
The
now.
negative that I have about this movie. Why in a superhero movie would you have the first half of the third act be not involving the superhero in question? I think that the whole bit where the family come together and they all go and attack the place.
Yeah.
I was like, why am I watching these people do it? I want to see Blue Beetle do it. I want to see his cool suit and all these things that he can imagine, that he can create. I want to see him doing it. I don't give a shit about old granny with the machine gun. I don't give a shit about your man piloting the thing. It should have been the complete opposite. And Susan Sarandon couldn't get Jaime, couldn't get the Blue Beetle, so she kidnaps the family and he has to go in and save them one by one or whatever, and they all make it out to safety. It shouldn't have been that they were going in to save him. It just felt like it was like, why is he being saved? He's the superhero. I thought that was just so stupid. That was from the start of the movie. I was watching it and I was like, okay, I'm enjoying this more than The Flash. This is good. But it got to that point, I was like, oh my god, can this be over now? I'm just ready to leave. This is so stupid. I was like, I just didn't make sense that it's like, maybe it's kind of like how with Iron Man 3, he's not Iron Man for a lot of the movie. I think that's what a lot of people have the problem with that.
No, it's definitely the man there. It's definitely
the Mandarin plot and all.
It's definitely the orange.
But
yeah.
it's like, imagine if Spider-Man, in his introduction,
Yeah.
he's held up and Mary Jane and Ned and Aunt May have to come and save him, and you're like, why am I watching these three people? I want to watch Spider-Man swinging around. It's the same for Blue Beetle.
I'm gonna throw this wrench into you here, David. And I see where you're coming from, and I guess I can somewhat agree with you. Maybe I do somewhat agree with you. If I don't, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with you. But it's not that I either agree with you or I don't agree with you. The third option is, I don't care. So to throw into that, what if this was Spider-Man? No director would do that to Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Spider-Man, Captain America. No director would use a high-profile superhero to be rescued by their sidekicks and companions and human friends.
Mm-hmm.
But for a character who is having their first on-screen adaptation, where the director might want to try something new and where family means everything, and let me do something different instead of, I'm going in to save the family as usual. You know, if it's not the femme fatale or the damsel in distress or the baby or the puppy, or it's always someone, you know. So that's why I didn't have an issue with that, and like I said, kickstart my heart, that sequence, liked it, didn't mind it. I would tell you this, if this did happen in a Spider-Man movie, I would agree with you 100%. Yes, of course, this is stupid. I don't care about. No one should be rescuing Spider-Man.
Yeah, but then I don't see why you would make this movie if you weren't trying to treat the main character with the reverence that you would all these other characters. I think that if you are going to make a movie like this with an established character, that you would have some kind of reverence for it, and that you would be like, okay, I would love to make this character a household name on the level of Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, you know.
But is that what he wanted to do?
But I think that anyone should want to do that. Wouldn't, like say, take Iron Man,
yes,
right, for example. Now, obviously Iron Man now is like one of the biggest superheroes in the world.
Because of Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, but in his first movie, he wasn't an A-list character. He was like a B-list or a C-list character. He wasn't popular. Practically no one had heard of him. Iron Man was the first iteration of it, in the same way that this is now the first iteration of Blue Beetle in any sense. So imagine if it had Iron Man, obviously, I know he's in a cave at the start of the movie. He has to be saved, but he saves himself.
Well,
And
yes, fair enough. But Overside Aim did leave him there to die, and his robot companions passed his thing and said good boy. Now maybe fair enough. That's Iron Man's tech. He created that. Fair enough. But I'm only going to argue that maybe the director wanted to make Blue Beetle like, hey, he's not perfect. He's flawed. Like, he's not just picture perfect. Like you can't just be the oh, this guy can do anything. If he was a girl, everyone would be calling her a Mary Sue. You know.
But I think that you could what you're saying there, which is maybe the director was trying to say like the.
Only maybe,
family,
I don't know.
Yeah, this is all speculation. The family is everything. I think that could have been done with having maybe a story in which like Jaime wasn't all about that. Maybe he was embarrassed by his family and he wanted to leave them, or he didn't want to. He could have been at odds with them the entire movie, and then
if someone was going to be embarrassed by their family just because I don't know, maybe they're too needy, I'm not going to root for that character at all. I'm rooting for Susan Sarandon to win.
So I think that you could get that message across of like, oh, family is important, family is everything.
Yeah.
But just flip the roles. I just don't. I think. You don't go to a superhero movie and then go and want to see him, the superhero, not be the superhero and not fight and not save the day. I know he does in the end.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to see more of the relationship between Jaime and the Scarab. I think that was another thing as well.
I will admit that was not fully, thoroughly explored. Like, not that Jarvis and Tony Stark didn't have a fully thorough relationship explored pretty much through the entirety of a movie. It wasn't. It was always a companionship then and there. But it was all it's better. It's already better.
Yeah.
Jarvis and Tony Stark is better than Jaime and the Scarab.
That's obviously different because of the fact that it's that relationship existed before the movie.
Yes.
And
Venom and Eddie Brock.
Yeah. I never felt like with Venom, when Eddie spoke to Venom or was looking, trying to find stuff out, the Venom wouldn't answer him back. With the Scarab, it felt like, oh, this thing is like alive and it's inside you, and it spoke maybe 4 or 5 times.
Now come on, it spoke more than that.
I know, but it felt like it wanted to know.
Don't be my brother talking about Mad Max.
I know,
he spoke
but it's
more,
like
spoke more.
If there's stuff where it's plot relevant, where Jaime wants information on the Scarab.
Yeah.
The Scarab should just give it to him.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's chosen him as the host.
Okay.
So there should be a back and forth. I think that it would have been a bit better where it's like, oh, it's a voice in his head that only he can hear.
Yeah. I think that was the case, was it?
It was, but it just wasn't. There just should have been more. I just would have liked the Scarab to be a bit more of a character in itself.
Okay, yeah.
And then at the end, when Jaime has that moment within the kind of dreamscape where they connect and they fully merge and they sync up.
Yeah.
That would have been a bit more of a... It just would have felt more meaningful because it felt like Jaime and a suit as opposed to two sentient beings syncing up.
I get what you're saying. I agree that could have been better. Maybe they were saving it for the sequel. They always are. But...
It's always saving it for a sequel that
never comes. It's always it. I don't know. I just think I might think no different if Jaime was saving the family. Maybe the family saving Jaime was what kept me a little bit more engaged. I wasn't put off by it.
Maybe it's just a difference of opinions then, I suppose.
When you say we want to walk into a superhero movie and we want a superhero to do his thing and save the day and that type of thing, well, I'm as of right now and since the start of this year hoping that when I walk into the cinema to watch James Gunn's The Authority, I want the superhero of that team, the hero of that team, because they're supposed to be like anti-villains or anti-heroes or villains. I want the superhero to die because when the rest of the team, who I hope are villains, can fight Superman. And then that can be for that movie.
I suppose it's on. It is on a case by case basis.
So
definitely.
like, just I applaud the director for doing something different, and I am looking for something different every movie. And when the Marvels comes out, I don't think that's going to be different at all. When Aquaman comes out, I'm only looking forward to Jason Momoa bantering off Patrick Wilson. Mm-hmm. That's probably the best thing I'm looking for out of Aquaman. Like, there's just nothing new. Sick of it. Sick of the same thing over and over again. Just.
And on that note, should we move into some recommendations just to wrap us up?
Yeah, David. I think we should close this episode with some recommendations.
I have an easy recommendation.
Okay.
Which is Total Recall. I said it earlier today.
You said it earlier and you can say it again. Total Recall.
Total Recall. Arnold Schwarzenegger. One
reason why. Why should we go back to this 80s movie when there's so many movies like these days? Why should we, to put it very crudely, waste our time on this movie?
Because it is fun.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you really kind of question the movie itself.
Okay.
It's got that like futuristic, like, oh, this is the future, but it's so in the past. It's kind of like that, like.
Does your one have 3 tits?
She does. Yeah, there is an alien that has 3 boobs. Somewhere in the movie, I'm not sure exactly where. I think it's on Mars.
Yeah, same in the other one. Same in the other movie as well.
It's just like it's you won't regret watching it. I think that it might be cheesy, but it's like good cheesy, and it's, you know, it's all that kind of thinking of, oh, this is what the future is going to be.
Okay.
You know, that kind of way.
Okay.
Of like maybe Back to the Future 2, like where this is what the future is going to be, and it's just slightly wrong. Like everyone in every house, every room in the house is going to have a fax machine.
Yeah.
But it's got video calling correct and picture in picture. And Total Recall is kind of like that, where it has like self-driving cars, except there's a model of a taxi man inside it and it actually drives. Or video calling, it has video calling. Or it has you know, that you could take a vacation. You could go to Saturn, or you could go to Mars, or you can go to a clinic and you can get the memories of going on a vacation. So instead of spending all the money, you can just get the memories that you were there.
Oh my god, that sounds horrible.
Well, and then that's where it tends to go wrong in these kind of movies, when that's your plot is. But no, I'd recommend that.
That's a good recommendation. That's a good recommendation.
The original,
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
What about you?
I've got a recommendation. What I'm recommending is Monarch: Legacy of Monsters, as the trailer was released just there earlier this week. Stars Kurt Russell and Wyatt Russell as the same man. Yeah,
great idea.
Yeah, it's a fantastic. I swear to Christ, I'm recommending a trailer.
Yeah, this is within the Godzilla and Kong universe.
How great is that? I always thought that, they're doing a Godzilla series, and I guess it's gonna be in the canon universe of the Monsterverse. Okay. I'm not really gonna put much thought into it, because we've only had 4 movies, 3 of them with Godzilla and 1 with Kong, and then we're getting another one, and okay, we're getting a series, and cool, yeah, Kurt Russell and his son Wyatt Russell are in the cast in it. They're gonna play father and sons. And then images are released with synopsis, and they're playing the same character, spanning over 2 separate periods. That is class. I think it's better. I think it's better just to see Kurt Russell and Wyatt Russell play the same character, and someone's getting paid for that casting genius.
I thought it was, when I originally saw it, I was like, father and son, finally.
Yeah.
I'm glad they're going to play father and son.
Yeah.
But then when it was the same character, I'm like, that's even better. Whoever thought of that, yeah, exactly. Great. And the budget for this
you saw the trailer?
Yeah, it looks like it is a Godzilla movie. Like it's an Apple TV Plus TV show.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because
10 episodes, I think.
Godzilla is Warner Brothers, isn't it?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. It's owned by Legendary. Legendary own it, and they thought, remember that thing you did with releasing everything day and date?
They're punishing them for it.
We're gonna go to Apple TV and they give them the money. That shot at the end of the trailer where you see like a side profile of Godzilla, you know, well they just let that shot linger longer when he gets hit by the explosions and you see him turn his face and you see him giving that growl and you see the woman's perspective looking up and wow.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
I'm predicting that this is taking place. I don't know if this is probably during maybe the 70s, so in and around the Kong Skull Island time period, and then that's where Wyatt Russell is going to be playing that character.
Yeah.
And then Kurt Russell, older, playing the same character, is when Godzilla emerges in Godzilla 2014.
Yeah.
David, how high are you going to jump from your couch if you see Bryan Cranston guest star in an episode?
Stop.
And you just see Bryan Cranston from Godzilla 2014.
I hadn't even thought about that.
Like, just guest star meeting Kurt Russell, Bryan Cranston, same room.
Stop it, Brian.
Just
stop.
You are making that show
through the roof. I'm through the roof. I've jumped off my couch.
So much better. Give Bryan Cranston another monologue to give.
Give Bryan Cranston anything. Give that man anything.
I'm telling you now, David. It's called Monarch: Legacy of Monsters. John Goodman, who was in the Kong movie, they've established that he is making probably a guest or cameo appearance because he's in the trailer, and he sort of looks the same as he did in Kong Skull Island. So they're making sure that this story they're telling, story comes first, fits within what they're saying, because it's not just Godzilla, apparently it's other monsters. So they're just bringing in everything together. It's obviously about probably the creation of Monarch, and we're getting into the dirty nitty gritty of it. I don't know if it's a limited series or if it's going to be an ongoing show, and with this, how is this going to or not going to conflict or plateau with ongoing MonsterVerse movies?
Yeah, I think it'll definitely be like a companion piece. It's non-essential viewing, and it's like if you've seen this, you will get more out of those movies. Yeah, but it's absolutely not essential. Yeah, you know.
I'd like to just throw this one thing. I do applaud that. Maybe this is just by a specific creative choice, or this is just because it's just what's happening. Every movie with Godzilla or Kong, with this iteration, you know, this universe, every movie, the humans are always different. It's like a new set of humans each time. Even though some characters continue into the sequels, it's a different lead character. Bryan Cranston and Aaron Taylor-Johnson. And just to stick with that timeline, we have
Tom Hiddleston, and then timeline. Sorry.
To continue the timeline, Vera Farmiga and Kyle Chandler with Millie Bobby Brown, you know, with that name, and then continue that, Kyle Chandler and Millie Bobby Brown, but they're not the main characters really. Alexander Skarsgård is, and Rebecca Ferguson, and now who's going to be the lead character in the new Godzilla X Kong? Dan Stevens. And Rebecca Ferguson is returned, so it's always a new character, and then I like that. I don't know if that's a creative choice they made, or if this is just the actor's not available, or the actor doesn't want to do it, or
maybe it's I think you're right. Maybe it's a creative choice in that you could just jump in and watch it. You don't have to have very much. You don't have to have seen anything leading up to this. You just know that this is a Godzilla movie. This is a King Kong movie. This is one where they fight each other. It's fine to just jump in.
O'Shea Jackson Jr. and Anthony Ramos were in Godzilla King of the Monsters. They're in that movie, and just keep them coming. Yeah,
definitely.
It's interesting to see. Watch the trailer. It's only a minute and a half. Go for it. It's streaming on Apple TV Plus November 17th. I am agog and aghast, and I refuse to believe that it's coming out this year. I can't believe it's coming out this quick.
I think that wraps it up for this episode of Talking Picks.
Yeah, Dave, I think this wraps up this episode of Talking Picks. Folks listening, thank you very much for listening. If you like hearing us talk shite and waffle on about what we love and love talking about, movies, TV, and a whole load of other good stuff we love to talk about. See, I said it. Please do give us a like, give us 5 stars. We post a new episode every Wednesday, the morning you wake up. Please tune in to see what we're going to talk about next. What we're going to talk about next week? I don't know. I'll have to have a see. What do you want us to talk about? Will we talk about any more trailers that is coming out? What about any TV shows? Any recaps on TV shows? Or what about any other movies? Expendables, anyone? And we are on Instagram, Talking Pictures Podcast 1 at gmail.com. That's not our Instagram. Our Instagram is Talking Pictures Pod. But that's our email anyway. We're not just on Spotify, but we always promote it to be on Spotify.
Yeah.
So
it's on anywhere you get your podcasts.
Yeah, whether it's Audible or
wherever you're listening to it right now.
Yeah, 100%. Just get in. Yeah, if you're a good lad or a good lass, just hit us 5 stars. Thank you for giving us the time and the duration of listening to us. Please send us any questions. Did you like the Godzilla trailer? It's not Godzilla. It's not called Godzilla, but it was before it was given the title. It was just called Godzilla series. So that's what I'm calling it. I'm rooting for Godzilla always. David, any final thoughts?
No, you wrapped it all up there.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks, Brian.